I can't use the printer unless I have a subscription to it. You have to have a subscription to said printer to use the printer that I already bought with money.
40% of people who watch streaming are constantly canceling, signing up again, and switching services over and over and over again.
When you purchase something, for you to even use the item that you purchase, like use it fully, these companies are now requiring you to purchase something else.
Imagine a world where you own nothing but access, where your music, your movies, even your food is behind a paywall. That world isn't coming, to be honest. It's already here. Not too long ago, you could buy a CD, even an MP3 file, and it was yours forever. But today, every single thing is leased. You don't own them. We only rent them. You don't own the software you have. It's subscribed to. Even your car, even your bag could be on a subscription. And welcome to the economy of endless payments. Remember when Netflix really had everything? Good luck to finding your favorite show now without subscribing to probably 3 or 4 different subscription platforms to find exactly what you're looking for. We've gone from cutting the cord with cable to a world even worse than cable, in my opinion. I mean, let's talk about side-by-side comparison. I remember when I was younger, my parents would say they were paying for cables like $100, $125. But remember those package deals, depending on what network or which company you were with, you could get different pricing and ranges depending on also what you added on. But today, Netflix is approximately $15.49, an annual cost of approximately $186. Disney Plus is $13.99 a month, approximately $168 in a year. HBO Max, another $15.99 a month. In a year, just to have 4 different subscription plans, just to watch what you want to see with all of the platforms and all of the things that they could see. Yes, okay, we don't have ads now. But again, we're getting these plans with ads now. So what are we really getting? What is the comparable cost here? We're looking at almost $700 a year for entertainment. That's enough for a second-hand laptop, a second-hand iPad, a high-end gaming console if you really are into gaming. Or really part of a down payment for an apartment, a car even, substantially more for a car. And that's just media. What about software? Because I'm a designer. I use Adobe Creative Cloud and we see prices there rising. What is it, $60 a month? Looking at a year is incredible, the amount of the staggering cost it is in a year when we're looking at $60 in 1 month. In a year, you're looking at $720 in 1 year. And even fashion has been turning to a rental economy. Rent the Runway really popped off a while ago. It's kind of tapered off in my, in hearing about it on social media, but we know a lot of people rent bags and shoes and all those different luxuries. So you have a lot of influencers that are pushing for luxury for less, or really just coming on here and saying they have all this stuff, but really, rentals. And that's okay. But that's what it is.
Now, streaming companies are trying to start to combat this churning behavior in a variety of ways. One is bundling. For example, Disney has bundled Disney, Hulu, and ESPN all in one package and has seen some success by doing that. Disney, Fox, Warner Bros., and Discovery have also announced that they will start a joint streaming service together.
Just like Uber making the car seem unnecessary. You don't have to have a car because you can Uber places, especially if you live in the core downtown somewhere walkable. So brands are nudging us away from permanent investments. And that's not an accident, in my opinion. You may not have a landlord, even though a lot of us have landlords, right? You may have a subscription lord. Every month you pay digital rent to access content, software, or even your own work, let's be real, because that's what it is when it comes to a lot of these platforms. You stop paying and you lose everything. You lose access to literally everything you're working on and everything you own. Yes, you can back it up, but all of the templates, everything there, locked in with that site, locked in with that software. And it was actually my husband that made this comparison to serfs, right? Which is a very true thing. I remember reading about serfs in history, and those were 14th century peasants working the land, just working the land, paying money for the Lord, the lords who lived greedily. And eventually, we saw as that became tedious over 200, 300 years, we saw a lot of uprising. The biggest one we probably heard of is, Marie Antoinette with her head cut off, right? Because people were tired of it. That was later on in the 1700s, but that was typical. So you have the 17th century peasant working the land, which is the equivalent of a modern young professional working to pay rent. A medieval castle, a luxury penthouse owned by a millionaire, or a luxury apartment, or whatever apartment you're living in right now, owned by a millionaire, billionaire, an investment group, or development firm, whatever. And it's a own nothing and be happy generation. That's what we're being taught right now. That's what is being forced on us, to be real, right? It's not even what we're taught. It's what's being forced. And this isn't just a tech problem. Obviously, it's not just a computer software, subscriptions. It's in everything. Housing is unaffordable, right? Job markets are unstable, lots of hiring, firing, a lot of instability with that. Even we hear about a lot of high earners still being stuck in the cycle of endless payments, living paycheck to paycheck. We see this a lot in the Reddits that show up. Does that sound familiar to you? Because it is. We had Parasite talking about that. I remember seeing that. It was very gripping, that movie. Black Mirror mentioned that with the episode with 15 million credits. You know, working endlessly just for a virtual currency. What are we really working towards? We're seeing a return to feudalism where the ultra rich own everything and the rest of us live month to month, paycheck to paycheck. But they have homes, they have everything bought, and they own stuff, but you don't. But where do we go from here? For years, password sharing was an open secret. I mean, I'll be honest, we used to get around with programs in the past because maybe someone will make that investment up front and we would share the cost. A lot of us do that. I may have one account, you have the other, we'll share the cost. Friends, families, even some exes share login to dodge those extra fees. We've heard all the tales on social, right? But now companies are fighting back. We saw Netflix recently. And mind you, Netflix in 2017, different story. They said, you know what? So Netflix, Spotify, and even gaming services like the Xbox Game Pass, I've seen it, I know from experience, are implementing these tougher rules so you can't even share. The message, pay up or you're blocked or you're out. You have them tracking by IP, tracking by location data, asking where you live. Is this person part of your network, a part of your household? All these things. Why? What's the big deal? Is it just more profit? Exactly, right? That's probably what it is. So now you have extra charges for outside people from Netflix. An extra $8, a month for something that was free for literally like a decade. Two-factor authentication just to get into your account. What is going on? And mind you, 2017 Netflix, we had something ago when you guys tweeted, love is sharing a password. Like, hello? Well, it turns out love has a price tag now. If they're cracking down on password sharing, what's next? Do I have to use my biometric, my face ID just to be able to log into stuff now, just to make sure that it's me? Are we going to biometrics now? Is that what we have to do? AI-driven family verification system, is that where we may be going? A time where each piece of entertainment is locked by a pay-per-use system. $2.99 for a movie, $5.99 for, a show or whatever. Or maybe we're gonna see tiered access based on location, right? Based on marketability and pricing for those locations. Those are all possibilities. Let's be real, because those are things that I think about sometimes. Like, where are we going with this? Like, if it's this intense now, where are we going? I remember that nosedive episode for Black Mirror, and I guess I'll talk about Black Mirror twice because it really does kind of put you in that state of mind with these kind of subscription-based apps now. I remember that episode for Nosedive where it literally just to get a good cup of coffee or simple pleasantries was based on your status, your points that you gained because you posted on social. And aren't we seeing that? I mean, we hear a lot of musicians can't even get their stuff out, or actors aren't even being considered for roles unless they have a certain number of followers, a certain number of subscribers. Are we then now losing the true value and talent that we should probably have because we're only going with people who are consistently online only? So it puts us in that mindset with that nosedive analogy where it's like you constantly have to do something to get some merit. And is that where we're going? And it may sound like science fiction, but it is kind of happening. Like even all this, stuff that we see now with AI and all the ways that it can be generated and all this stuff, didn't that kind of sound like science fiction a while back? You obviously use these companies, the longer you have a history with them, or the harder it is to actually want to break away. I don't want to lose all my Netflix recommendations and all the movies that I watch and all my Spotify songs. So I'm just going to keep paying for it. It doesn't matter. I'll just keep paying for it. That's how they lock us in. And the more they lock us in, the harder it is for us to escape, because now we're just in this cycle of keep paying for it because we've always paid for it. Oh, okay, well, I don't really need to be using Amazon subscription this much because it enables me to buy more, but you're locked in. I have all my orders there. I have all the stuff there. I have my subscriptions. I have things that will come to me in a few months. Locked in. And ultimately, they have control on pricing, control on marketing, control on how it's viewed, even control on philosophies and things you may not agree on. But where are you gonna go? So the question isn't really how much are you paying, it's how much control are you giving up every time you pay. If we're letting companies dictate our access, we're gonna wake up one day and realize we don't own anything anymore. A lot of us are realizing that now, to be honest. Because once you lost that control, we know getting it back is not easy. So where do we go from here? First, recognize the traps. If you're paying for a subscription, ask yourself, do we really need this? Do I really need to have this? If you're just having it to have it because you've always had it, maybe it's time to give it up. See how you feel without a month of having it. If you really need it back in that month, get it back. You may even get introductory prices, which is even more amazing. So yeah, just cancel it. Are you investing in yourself or are you just leasing convenience? Audit your subscriptions, okay? Cut out the things you don't need. Invest in ownership. Buy physical media if you can. You know, I know people get into records for that reason, just so they can have a physical copy. Books for that reason, just so they can have a physical copy of something, not just on a Nook, and then the Nook doesn't work anymore and you lost all your books. If you can go to open source alternatives that are not locked down by subscription, you know, GIMP over Adobe or LibreOffice over Microsoft, you never have to worry about losing it because it's open source and it's there for you and it is your source and your code and it will stay with you. Because the subscription economy isn't just about money, it's also about control. The more we depend on these corporations for access, the less power we have over our own life, over the things we can control, period. We have to rethink convenience and take back what's ours. Take back control, have some physical copies, keep something physical. After all, if you own nothing, who wins? Who really wins, the corporation or you? And comment below, what's the worst subscription model you've ever signed up for? I have a couple, I'm not gonna name drop here, but there are a couple. And don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other related videos, especially ones where we're talking about fashion and TikTok and how that's changed the game. And until next time, bye.